of Education meeting. Today is June 25th, 2024. The time is 7 p.m. Jamie, could we have roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Heck,
Here.
Mrs. Myers,
Here.
Mr. Van Washenova.
Here.
Mrs. Vincent.
Here.
Mrs. Williams. Here. Mr. Zimmerman.
Here. Could we stand for the pledge, please? That brings us to our revision and approval of the agenda. Could we get a motion?
I'll move that we approve the agenda as presented.
There's support?
Support.
Jamie, could we have roll call, please?
Yes, Mrs. Williams. Yes. Mrs. Vincent.
Yes.
Mr. Van Washenova.
Yes.
Mrs. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Heck.
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman.
Yes, and the motion passes. Before we begin, as a reminder, if you wish to address the board in public commentary, please make sure to fill out the public commentary forms located on the table back by the door. Once you have filled that out, please return those to our administrative assistant, Jamie. That brings us to Superintendent Shaw. Are there any addition or deletions from
did that.
tonight's agenda? Oh, yeah, we already passed
You already
it.
rocked that out.
Yeah, we did. I wonder why that's here on my thing then. Yeah. Gonna have to get on somebody about that one. Superintendent comments.
Awesome. Well, hey,
Superintendent Shaw.
with it being the last, the end of June and the end of our fiscal year, as a treat, I have no comments for this first time.
What?
None?
Oh,
Thank you, John. Appreciate that.
We could talk about John again.
no, he's only got 2 more days. We gotta behave. All right, that brings us to public commentary on board agenda items. Do we have any?
No, we do not.
All right. That takes us down to, let's see, our board discussionary items. Next on the agenda is our action report on our contract services. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move on to our consent agenda items. Are there any items that board members would like to move off of the consent agenda item and move over to new business? All right, hearing none, could we get a motion?
I'll move that we approve consent agenda, I'm sorry. Move the agenda items B2A through B2B, 2 items, be considered the consent agenda and the consent agenda item be approved as recommended.
Support?
Support.
Jamie, could we have roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Heck.
Yes.
Mrs. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Van Washenova.
Yes.
Mrs. Vincent.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams. Yes. Mr. Zimmerman.
Yes, and the motion passes. Mrs. Flynn, are any of our new hires here tonight?
Yes, thank you. We have several of our new people here tonight, and we have a process. If you've not been to a board meeting before, if you are a new hire in the audience, as I look through, I see several. What we're gonna do is have you stand up, come up to the podium, you can line up, and then state your name, where you're going to be, what you're going to be doing next school year, or this school year, if you're here now, and, who you brought with you tonight, and then you come around, then you're gonna walk over here, start, and you're gonna walk around and shake everyone's hand, and then you can go back to your seat. But I do know that our photographer is here, and she's going to want to get a group picture of all of you. So that's at the very end, okay? So if you could all stand and come up to the podium. Do you remember all your instructions?
I think I do.
I was confused.
And smile, you're on camera.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. All right. My name is Angela, or I'll be teaching English at Monroe Middle School. I brought my mom and my nephew back there. Snuck away. That's my nephew. I think that was it. All right. Did I pass?
Congratulations. Go green.
Yes.
My name is Erica Panconi. I will be a level 4 support specialist, and I brought my grandfather and my friend Jared.
Good evening. My name is Kara Maurer, and I'll be teaching 5th grade at Arborwood Elementary, and I brought my mom, Nancy Myers.
Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome aboard. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Hi, I am Jenna Heil, and I will be teaching 1st grade at Custer Elementary School. I'm by myself because my husband's got my kids.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Jenna used to work in mine
Oh.
before she came to the schools.
Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle Wheeler. I'm going to Arborwood as a 1st grade teacher. I didn't bring anyone. I didn't even think about it. That probably would have been a good idea, huh?
Congratulations.
Welcome aboard.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mitchell Duval, and I'll be teaching STEM at Monroe Middle School next year.
It's exciting. Congratulations. See you again, sir.
Congratulations.
Welcome aboard.
Congratulations.
So, yeah. So huge congratulations to all of our new staff members. For our one, where'd she go? Tucked away in the back, I think. If you didn't bring anybody, this is being live streamed right now, so you'll be able to go to our YouTube site and get that video and keep it for posterity. And for example, as Dr. Ray pointed out, in 30 years, when you're retiring, you pull it out and go, wow, look how young I looked way back when. I still had a beautiful lock of hair up top and all that kind of good stuff.
Look at you and see what I look like.
I know. I know. We've talked about looking like brothers, just a handful of years apart. That's it. So, but we are thrilled that you're part of Monroe Public Schools. It is a great time to be a Trojan, and have a great summer. And know that when you get back here in August, we're gonna hit the ground running and have an exceptional year next year. So, thank you for being here tonight.
That brings us to new business. Before we move into our new business, I want to provide some background and context on our agenda items. All of our items on our agenda have either been discussed in depth at a prior work session or have been addressed in our weekly board briefs. So although it might seem that we move through these quickly, know that we have done our due diligence to look through these before our review of our meeting tonight. Also, as a reminder, our work sessions are open to the public, and they start at 5:30. Next, I will turn it over to Superintendent Shaw for the second reading on adoption of the board policies.
So in regards to the board policies, Darla and I were having a conversation because we had two policies in our last meeting that we revised during that meeting, and that was during that first reading. And so I'm going to turn it over to Darla on a recommendation she's going to make.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to postpone the second reading of policy 2414 and policy 6320, and move them to a subsequent meeting as a first reading due to language changes.
What numbers are those again, Darla?
2414, and which is reproductive health and family planning, and 6320, which is purchasing, and they both had language changes.
So with that, the rest of the policies would be,
And I will approve the remaining, well, I can't, in a postponement, I have to do them separate.
yeah.
Yeah, so we'll do the postponement motion first.
I'll support that.
Okay, Thank you.
Any discussion?
I do want to discuss, and this was a question I posed as 6320. I don't know if we, and that's purchasing policy.
Good.
I just don't know if, it's more of a question to the board. I mean, does everybody have a full understanding of the three sections and what people have to do? I guess I don't want our staff to get confused of saying, I don't know what informal bid is or what code is. I know we used to have written as the second section. I didn't know if we wanted to put that in there or not.
Do you want to amend
That-
the
Well, I don't know. I
postponement?
mean, it's more of a question. I don't know. I mean, I take it as being, you know, if you are under 50% of the state requirement, it's an informal bid, informal quotes. So in that case, what we used to do is that, let's say, for example, I wanted to buy, I don't know, some piece of scientific research that I wanted, some kind of book or something. If it was under 50%, we used to just get 3 quotes from like Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, whatever not, okay? That used to suffice there. Then if it was between 50% and 100%, we had to get informal bids, and those were written.
This is on the 6320 that we're pulling off, right?
Yeah.
So with that, we can actually address that in our administrative guidelines, regulations, because that's a process that you're describing. So we can address that right inside there for clarity's sake of what that entails, of what you're describing right there, that, and defining that for our
So there will
employees.
be a
So-
follow-up
so-
on the, sorry.
So I can amend my motion and make the motion to postpone the second reading of these two policies and pull them back into a work session for further discussion.
You know, that may be a good idea,
Yeah.
put it into work
I
session.
will amend my motion as such.
Okay, all right. I'll support that, by the way.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so what is your motion again? So everybody here is clear what it is.
I'm making a motion to postpone the second reading of 2414, policy on reproductive health and family planning, and 6320, purchasing, and pull them back into a work session due to further discussion and language changes that were made.
Okay. You supported that,
I
Larry?
support that, yes.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Hearing none, Jamie, could we have roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Hack.
Yes.
Mrs. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Van Washenova.
Yes.
Mrs. Vincent.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams. Yes. Mr. Zimmerman.
Yes, and the motion passes.
So now we're gonna go ahead and move
I will,
forward.
I will now make a motion to approve the following policies effective June 25th, 2024 as presented. That's policy 1240, 2410. Do I have to read it what the?
Yep.
Oh, okay. 1240 is evaluation of the superintendent. 2410 is prohibition of referral or assistance. 2623 is student assessment. 6321 is new school construction / renovation. 6325 procurement of federal grants and funds. 6350 prevailing wage. 6520 payroll deductions. 8390 animals on district property. 8400 school safety information, and 8800 religious ceremonies and observances.
I'll
Thank you.
support that.
Support?
Yep.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Jamie, could we have roll call, please?
Mr. Hack.
Yes.
Mrs. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Van Washenova.
Yes.
Mrs. Vincent.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams. Yes. Mr. Zimmerman.
Yes, and the motion passes. That brings us to fleet management, Superintendent Shaw.
So last month, we had pulled it off of our agenda for approval. There was 2 questions that were raised, and one had to do with the term of the contract and when can we take, and if we wanted to dissolve the contract. And inside it says MPS, inside the contract says MPS or contractor may terminate this agreement with or without cause with 30 days prior notice. The other question had to do with rust. And so, in talking with Karen about that, the only, everything that's, how want I say it, mechanical is addressed by them, non-mechanical is addressed by us. So If the body of the vehicle is rusting out, that's on us to fix. If it's a rusted out item. And that was addressed quite a few years ago on the mechanical side and taken out of the contract for a long time ago. What we're recommending tonight is just a one-year extension, and we already have pulled out the cost of the parts. And so the increase on their labor cost is $2,445.63 for the year. And so we're asking that the board approve it just for a one-year contract, knowing too that we're also looking at other options inside this contract and with transportation as a way to maybe look at a cost reduction. We'd like to have this contract renewed at this time so that we can get the school year up and started, knowing that this contract is up on July 1. And so we would, in fact, not have a contract with them at come July 1. But like I said, though, too, we've made it so that cost was reduced, so that $2,400 right there of increase. In the parts side of it was budgeted $120,000 inside the contract, and is our expectation that number will be well under that by us taking over the purchasing. So we're seeking just to have this renewed for 1 year, knowing too at the same time we are looking at other options and maybe making other changes inside this, and we have that 30-day out clause with written consent or with a written prior notice to them.
Can I get a motion?
I move that we approve the one-year contract extension with Fleet Management with First Vehicle from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025 for a cost of $486,421.52.
There's support?
Support.
Any discussion?
My problem is that I like to see a contract before I approve it. So maybe my first grade teacher had left too much of an impression upon me, but I always like to read things before I approve it. I understand what Andy said, but if it's simply an extension of the contract, a one-year extension, that's not what the original contract says. The 30-day out, because I read it in the original contract, and again, I don't have it here to read, but it says that before we want to, if we want to renew it or not renew it, we just give a 30-day written notice. Well, that's not what we're talking about here. I mean, I thought we wanted the option to have a 30-day out. Let's say I want to, let's pick
October.
October.
Yeah.
Right. Say we want to get out in October. I don't see a 30-day out on that.
MPS or contract may terminate this agreement with or without cause 30 days prior to written notice. Prior.
Again, I'm sorry, I don't have the contract, and it's not included. I guess, that would be really, really helpful if we had that. But
Well, the contract was provided as the original contract that you guys had asked for twice.
it was last time, and that's not what the original contract says. It says prior to renewal, you just give a 30-day notice, with or without cause. The
I was
question
gonna-
I had is that, can we, like Larry said here, can we just terminate the contract October 1 by giving 30-day notice? And that's not what the original contract said.
This is the original contract I'm reading to you.
Let me see. Well, I mean.
That's what I was going
wish
to
I had
ask.
what I-
Was there a contract with the new language provided? Because I didn't see it. I went looking for it, and that was my
We
question.
gave you the addendum.
I went to see the
Yeah.
changes and stuff.
Didn't see it.
Yeah.
I hate to sign something I don't know what it's in here.
If you want to see that, it's right there at top. Right here, very top.
Where's the start?
Here's for our 30-day out.
No, there's it's 3.04.
3.04.
3.04.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's right here, I'm sorry. Grab it from the back.
There you go.
Do that there.
You need this one or no? No, here, you can have
Yeah,
this one.
I was grabbing too many.
That's not what that says. I mean, as I read it, it says the term of this contract shall be 3 years. First vehicle will commence work here on the first day of July 2021 for a term of 3 years, ending the 30th day of June, and it should be probably 2023, I take it. Just a typo. Further, this contract may be renewed, expanded, and extended by mutual agreement for renewal periods of 1 year ongoing, provided that the funds for such contract are available and an operational budget is approved by Monroe Public School, and the contract has established a satisfactory record of performance. It is at the sole discretion of Monroe Public School on an annual basis to rebid this contract at any time beyond the 3-year period. Monroe Public School or contract may terminate this agreement with or without cause within 30 days prior written notice. So, but I take it, we have 3 years, we can renew it if we want to.
For 1 year.
But,
Right.
for 1 year, but if we don't want to renew it for that 1 year, then we just give a 30-day notice. And then it's not renewed for an additional 1 year. I guess what I'm saying, what Larry's saying here, what about if we wanted to do it in the middle of the term? I mean, the contract has not been fulfilled. And I think that's a problem I had before.
Let me see that. I also have
And I'm not an attorney, but I would say that that last sentence did not say 30 days before renewal. It just said with 30 days notice.
Yeah, and that's
There-
not what I'm taking there, so.
1 second, I have.
And I think maybe, Carrie, maybe this is part, I mean, it's ambiguous at the very best. If it's an ambiguous contract, we don't have a contract. Come on, we don't know what we don't have a meeting of the minds.
May I suggest a motion to postpone the completion of the contract for further discussion at a work session?
That would be a good idea. I'll support that motion.
Okay.
A motion within a motion.
Yeah. But I guess the question is,
Postponement can be.
the contract's up June 30th.
Right.
That we don't have that work session prior to
So,
July 1st.
in section 16, termination for convenience. Upon termination for convenience, defined as termination for any reasons set out in section 15, MPS will pay the contract to the following amounts: costs, expenses, and fees for supplies, services performed under the contract, so anything we had up to that point, costs, expenses, and fees incurred in the terminated portion of the work. So anything we had done, so again, we're back to that September, October, whatever our costs were up to that point with them, we would have had to have paid. And
Well,
Which is
first,
fair. I mean,
we have to,
Yeah.
we already have a motion on the table
So
for this, either approving or disapproving
Well,
of this contract.
I made a motion to postpone the original motion in order to pull this to a work session, which follows right along with appropriate rules of Robert's rules.
So that's amended.
Yeah.
Who made the motion? So should
Yeah.
Tom?
Yeah, and I have, if,
yeah,
I'll
Yeah,
go
you're-
along, I'll approve her amendment to it.
You approve her
Okay.
amendment to it?
Yes.
Okay. So is there any more discussion on this?
Do we need a second on the amended change?
No, Larry already,
Larry-
Okay,
Larry.
I didn't hear that, sorry.
Sorry.
Any
And-
further
and
discussion?
Maybe we should sit down with the first vehicle and see if we can get this thing wrapped up.
I think we have.
Okay, all right.
She's sitting right there. You got a question, ask her.
Oh, hello?
Well, if you can put that in writing and sign it on behalf of the company, we would be happy to have that, but
I mean, what about putting within the extension, adding the verbiage that you want for the 30-day out?
yeah, I think that's what we
I mean, if we
I think that's what I'm saying.
vote on that and do that,
We can't do that tonight.
That's the problem that we had
Yeah.
before, because again, we're one party to the contract, and we would like to put that in, but perhaps first vehicle, even though I know you work with first vehicle, they may not agree with that, and Andy pointed that out before, and he's correct. We're not gonna force somebody upon them if they don't agree with it.
Okay. How about we just table this?
I don't care.
and let me,
Well, we've
Let
addressed,
him step out and talk to some folks
Yeah.
here, because we do need this contract.
so now
one way or
we,
the other.
we have a whole nother,
We're not gonna miss any buses.
okay, so we have a whole
I'm
nother,
worried about them.
we have a whole process thing that we have to address here first. We had a motion, the motion was amended to postpone this contract, whatever,
to
for
go
further
back to
discussion.
Tom,
So we have to address and we have to vote on that motion because it's already been proposed and it's already been amended.
If we want to table it, we would have to vote this down, the postponement,
Right.
and bring up a motion to
Right.
table it.
Yes. Yeah, we can't put a
Which means we
table.
still have to address it tonight.
Yeah.
Right.
And the tabling would mean it would still have to be addressed and resolved this evening.
Yeah.
So do you want to go ahead with the original vote on that motion and then we can address that? Is
Don't
that how
have
it's
to,
going to
right?
go?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Jamie,
we're,
could we have roll call,
wait,
please?
let me ask one question first. So if we postpone this, that's not a table.
Correct.
Correct.
So if we vote to postpone, we can't vote to table.
If
How do we go back and table?
If we vote, if we affirm the vote to postpone, you're right, we cannot table.
Right.
So we have to turn down the postpone and then vote to table.
Right. And then,
Well, that's kind of a
we can get
straw.
the answers to
little
what we
straw
need.
going on.
Well, we don't have that other party is the problem here. We have Karen here, but I mean, Karen is not first vehicle. There's, she's got bosses that she's got to come to, and they have
Right.
to approve it, so, yeah. And that's the same problem we have.
So can we just, you want to,
We have to take a vote
Postpone?
whether we're going to, what, as to,
we have the motion on the table to postpone.
so our
Is there-
motion is to postpone, correct?
Yes. that's
Every,
correct.
everybody understands that motion?
Motion is to postpone.
And the
Roll call, please,
postpone does
Jamie.
not happen tonight.
Mrs. Williams?
No.
Mrs. Vincent?
No.
Mr. Van Washenova?
Yes.
Mrs. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
One more.
Oh, Mr. Zimmerman, I apologize.
Yeah, no, so we're at a dead heat here.
So it's a 3-3, which means
So
the
it's-
motion fails.
Okay, so now, does somebody want to do a motion to table this?
Wait,
Because the motion failed.
no, one,
It's 3-3.
3-3.
oh.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
That was gone.
I'll make the motion to table the contract extension on the First Fleet Management
Okay,
contract.
is there support?
Support.
Any discussion?
So we're going to table that and that will be addressed before we leave today?
Yes.
Yes.
How is that possible?
Stepping out and calling our attorney.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the problem is not with our attorney. I mean, I think we know what we want. The problem is that, I mean, we don't have the other party. I mean,
To
let's say for-
interpret, it's the interpretation of the
interpretation of the
30-day
verbiage.
out clause.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, does First Vehicle understand that? I mean, and that's the party we don't have.
Right.
I mean, does First Vehicle
We're
understand
gonna make a
that?
call to her boss.
All right,
And we
roll
need
call,
something
please,
in
Jamie.
writing, by the way.
Yes, Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mrs. Vincent?
Yes.
Mr. Van Washenova?
I'm gonna say no, I don't.
Mrs. Myers?
No.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes. Feel like
A
I'm,
lot of names I'm writing down here.
all right, so let's go on a
Move on.
10, well, do you want to do that? Do you want to move on or do a 10-minute recess till we figure this out? All right, so where does that?
Because we can move that to the end of the agenda this evening.
2024 final budget.
Okay, there we go. The 23-24 final budget, that would be Mrs. Shook.
Thank you, President Zimmerman. Tonight, we are asking the board to move to adopt the final amended 2023-2024 budgets for the General Fund, Food Service Fund, Student and School Activity Fund, 2020 Bond Debt Fund, Sinking Fund, Building and Site Fund, and 2020 Bond Capital Projects Funds as presented.
I'll move to approve the 23-24 final budget amendment.
Is there support? Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please, Jamie?
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Mrs. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Van Washenova?
Yes.
Mrs. Vincent?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes, and the motion passes. That brings us to the 24-25 budget adoption. Mrs. Shook.
Thank you again, President Zimmerman. Tonight, we are asking the board to move to adopt the 2024-2025 proposed budgets for the general, food service, student and school activity, 2020 bond debt, sinking, building and site, and 2020 bond capital projects funds as presented. Further.
Can I get a motion?
Hold on.
She's not
Hold on,
done.
sorry. Furthermore, the board has determined that the millage rates be established at 18 mills non-homestead and 6 mills commercial personal property for operating purposes. An additional 1 mill be levied for building and site sinking fund on all property as approved by referendum in 2023, and 1.5 mills be levied for the 2020 bond debt fund on all property as approved by the voters on May 5th, 2020.
Now I'll move to.
Can I get a motion?
Now I'll move to approve the 24-25 budget adoption.
Is there support?
Support.
Any discussion?
Thank you, Cassie.
See, I'd like to say thanks for all your hard work on this, because I know that's quite a feat, especially when you're fighting in the blind and you don't know what the state's going to give you.
Yeah, well
Absolutely.
done.
Thank you.
We have roll call, please, Jamie.
Mr. Hack.
Yes.
Mrs. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Van Washington.
Yes.
Mrs. Vincent.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams. Mr. Zimmerman.
Yes, and the motion passes. That brings us to fire inspection renewal. Mr. Payne.
Thank you, President Zimmerman. We're asking the board to approve the following annual renewal of fire inspection at a cost not to exceed $15,699.66 from Johnson Controls. Funds for this purchase would be coming out of the district general fund maintenance budget.
Can I get a motion?
I'll move to approve the fire inspection renewal.
Support?
Support.
Any discussion?
Just a-
Yes.
oh.
Go ahead. You go first, because I'm looking for my notes.
I guess, Dave, how many, I know in the board briefs that this was the only response to the quote. How many companies were contacted?
I don't know how many were actually contacted. I know last year, I think we received 3 or 4,
Yeah.
but some of them were partial. I think this year, just timing-wise, the other companies didn't want to bid on it.
Yeah.
I could ask Tim to and put in board briefs the
Because I
exact
know
details.
there's, and I don't know if this is up there, what they do, but there's Midwest Fire out on La Pleasance Road. I don't know if they were part of that or not.
I can talk to Mr. Salambean and we can put
Okay.
that in board briefs to find out how many companies were reached out to.
Okay.
Darla?
So you do have the names of the other companies?
I'll get that from Mr. Salambean. He does the RFP out of the operations center, and I can find out, I'll find out 2 things. One, I'll find out who responded last year, and then who we reached out to this year.
Okay, thanks.
Good.
We have roll call, please, Jamie.
Yes, Mr. Hack.
Yes.
Mrs. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Van Washington.
Yes.
Mrs. Vincent.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams. Mr. Zimmerman.
Yes, and the motion passes. That brings us to the HES contract amendment. Mr. Payne.
Thank you again, President Zimmerman. We're asking the board to approve the following contract amendment for our custodial services with HES. This amendment would increase our annual contract to $1,790,095. This includes a 4% increase, additional holidays for staff, and an increased supervision. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Can I get a motion?
I'll move to approve the HES contract amendment for an annual contract of $1,790,095 for the next, I guess it's a 1-year contract, is that
Mhm.
correct?
Just 1-year amendment.
For 24-25.
There's support?
Support.
Discussion?
In regards to 4 additional holidays, that's kind of unusual.
So what we had some meetings throughout the year, and we're trying to, turnover was pretty high with the staff, and we were looking at things we could do to try to keep staff on. And originally, they only get 2 holidays, so this would give them up to 6 days, paid days.
What 2 holidays, may I ask, did they get?
And I texted Mike on that, and I think it was Thanksgiving and Christmas, I believe. And then we asked.
They didn't previously have Thanksgiving and Christmas
No,
off?
those are the only 2 they did get off. I requested to add
Oh.
4 more days.
That's the only 2 days they had off? That's unusual.
Paid
That's-
days.
That's very unusual.
So turnover was pretty high, so we asked to increase their base pay, which they did. And then this would help offset some of their costs that went directly to the employees.
Will the additional holidays have any impact upon our ability to operate as we have in the past?
No, no.
Turn your mic
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Most of those holidays are the district, several of them are the district shut down anyways.
So it's not gonna.
It was more of an inconvenience for workers that, hey, I can't get a full week's pay, I'm gonna go somewhere else. So we're trying to do anything we could to obviously watch the bottom line, but also try to keep people.
So I'm guessing that a couple of those holidays that were added were Labor Day and Memorial Day.
Martin Luther King Day, there was the Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. And I think, yeah.
Your question, Dave, because I know we talked about with the Waterloo closing, there would be maybe a couple lower head count. As far as last year, how many employees or contract employees did this include, and how many going forward this year?
45 is the number, but I'll be honest with you, I don't know that we hit 45 except for maybe 1 week out of all last year.
Oh.
And maybe going into June, but it's been really hard to stay at full capacity. And then the problem was management, which they call a project lead, that's their supervisor, would have to step in and fill in those holes.
So that just opened a question for me. If the contract is approximately 1.8 million, it's like 1.7 million something, and that is paying for 45 staff. So is that 45 staff included in that number regardless? Because you know how you do those contracts and you say, well, I'm going to put in that contract for 5 people and then that's the amount of money that goes to contract. So a reduction in that staff, does that then entail a reduction in this 1.7? Or is it 1.7 with 45 staff? I'm just trying to figure this
The
out.
1.7 was after we counted, I don't think water was, there was a day shift and then there was like 1.5 at night. So it'd been, because we have an MPS.
What was
one
that,
there.
Cassie? Sorry, I didn't
The
hear.
head custodian at Waterloo was an MPS employee and not a contracted employee, which I believe, Dave, she's moving to another building, correct?
So is this 45 staff part of the contract of 1.7 million? As you said, we didn't use 45 staff. Would this number go down?
No, this was prior to, this number would have been higher
So
until.
let's look at this year that we're looking at. Is that for 45 staff? And does this number go down if you only have 30?
If we read, it's not necessarily, it's the hours, because some are part-time. It's the contract, reading through the contract the way it was designed, from what I'm reading, because I wasn't part of the initial RFP, was contracted hours. So each building had so many hours of work that needed to be done, whether it's part-time or full-time. So what happened is, they would get it done, the job done, but they might have to work some overtime or have a supervisor fill in. We didn't get charged extra for that. So with this new contract, we just were saying, we're gonna drop that count down. So if somebody quits over the summer, we would just so they're gonna absorb that cost right out of the gate. If it takes 2 months for someone to quit, they're just not gonna refill that position. But the problem is there's such a fluid employee count that it's
So
not.
that's still to my original question. If it's fluid, is this amount we're approving tonight also fluid?
No.
So we're paying
I
for the
can.
hours regardless if they're
Correct.
done or not?
Regardless of who's doing the hours. Whether it's somebody that is being pulled from other duties to do those particular hours.
So
or if it's an
MPS
individual.
employees can be,
No.
so,
Another HES employee. So it's for that number of hours, and unless we negotiate changing that number, they're living within those number of hours.
so they wouldn't get overtime? I thought there was a law that you had to get overtime.
They still have to pay their employees overtime. That's part of the cost that they're absorbing.
We wouldn't get billed for that.
We're not billed additional for that overtime for that number of hours that's agreed upon in the contract.
Was all those hours for each building in the contract that we didn't see the contract, did we?
That
Did we
was,
see
this
it?
would be, this is the
No.
3rd year of a 3-year contract. In their contract, there's a CPI increase in the contract.
Yeah, I just don't think we saw this contract, did we?
It would have been 2 years, it would have been, the
Yeah, I
amendment
I
last
meant,
year.
we got to vote on this tonight, but we didn't see,
You're just voting on the amendment that's presented. The
Okay.
previous contract verbiage is in place from when it was adopted 2 years ago.
okay.
And nothing in that was already approved is changing aside from what's listed in the addendum.
Roll call, please, Jamie.
Yes, Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Mrs. Vincent.
Yes.
Mr. Van Washenova.
Yes.
Mrs. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Hack.
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman.
Yes, and the motion passes. That brings us to our old business, and I will turn that over to Superintendent Shaw for the 2024-2025 MHSAA renewal.
Thank you, sir. Last month, it was a request to bring this into a workshop, and we did. And so tonight, we went and discussed the MHSAA and requesting that the Board of Education approve us to be members of the MHSAA for the August of 24 through July 31st of 2025.
Is there a motion?
I'll move to adopt the MHSAA membership resolution for August 1st, 24 through July 31st, 25 as presented.
Support?
Support.
Any discussion?
So, based on our earlier discussion, there have been no changes to eligibility requirements, and there have been no changes to the regulatory levels 1 and 2 in this new year coming. Everything stayed the same, right? I just want to clarify that.
I didn't go back and look at the prior year regulatory. The regulatory side of that is just, when I read off regulatory 1, those are the expectations you have to have.
Yeah.
And so, it's, like you said, the GPA and all that. But as far as comparison from one year to the next, as far as the regulatory, I don't know that answer.
Okay. But there have been no eligibility changes, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Roll call, please, Jamie.
Yes, Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Mrs. Vincent.
Yes.
Mr. Van Washenova.
Yes.
Mrs. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Hack.
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman.
Yes, and the motion carries. Takes us to superintendent comments. Superintendent Shaw.
Can we go back to?
We need to do
Oh,
the
yes, we can
tabled
go back.
motion.
Thank you.
Well, I didn't know if you wanted to do
Nope.
your stuff and then go back to that, or how you wanted to do this.
Right here. So what we're, so on that, we quickly were able to talk to Jeremy and then also talk to Jason.
Yes, for sure.
What we would ask so that we can get to complete clarity, get the contract in front of you, keep First Vehicle with us, is just to extend the contract as is for 1 month. So the current rate that we pay them through August. Otherwise, on July 1st, they would technically not be with us because this contract ends June 30th. So we're just asking for a 1 month extension so we can keep them working here. And it's the same daily rate that they're paying today would start in July. And that way in the July board workshop, we bring it back in with that clarity as far as the interpretation of the contract and any other clarifying statements you want.
How can we do that? Like, what in the contract says that we can do a 1-month extension? I'm just confused. I thought contracts were like contracts, and you had to follow the language of the contract. And
You just talked to him, right?
We just talked to Jason. He said I would do a 1 month extension while we figure this out.
But where is it that allowable within the contract terms that we currently have?
I don't know if it's in the contract terms.
Right. That was
It's-
just,
He's just offering up a way to resolve this so that they're still staying inside there. Otherwise, if we don't approve the contract, we start paying, they stay in there, keep working in July, we're gonna like, hold on, their contract ended, why are we still paying them? So as a way to get to, bring back more clarity, we can extend it 1 month so that the rate still stays the same, it's no increase. Employees, everyone keeps working on our buses.
So is there a motion to this?
Well, we first have the motion to take it off the table,
Yeah.
right?
Okay,
We shouldn't really be talking about
I'm
it.
sorry.
I move to take the
I appreciate that.
item off the table. for
fleet
discussion.
management. I
Support.
second that, yeah.
roll call, please, Jamie.
Mr. Hack.
Yes.
Mrs. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Van Washenova.
Yes.
Mrs. Vincent.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman.
Yes. Okay, does somebody like to make a motion on this 1 month extension?
I have the same thing as Darrell. I mean, from our point
Point
of
of
view.
order, should we have a motion? before
We should.
have more
We should.
discussion?
We should.
Thank you.
So who would like to make the motion?
I'll move to approve the 1-month contract extension with First Vehicle Fleet Management in order for us to clarify the language as suggested by our attorney.
I would ask that you please add in there, though, that the rates stay the same as the current.
You want to put the date,
With
the
the same rate. And are we doing that as of July 1st through August 1st, 2024?
Yes.
Or 31st, July 31st?
The contract typically runs July 1 through June 30. As your contract year.
So for 1 month.
But for 1 month, it would
Yeah.
be July 1
To July
to
30th.
July 31st.
Is there support for said
Support.
motion? Okay, discussion.
Same item here again. I mean, I don't know if you can have a contract between two parties when only one party dictates the term and the other party
Okay.
is not even present. That's my concern. I suppose we could offer to do a 1-month extension. I don't think we can do a contract, but we can offer to do a 1-month extension. That's in my opinion.
Okay.
Just like I couldn't say, I'm gonna buy you a car, Mr. Z, but.
Thank you, Larry, I appreciate that.
And I'm only gonna give you $10, and I'll come pick it up tonight. But, so, I mean, you have to have some meeting of the minds, is my thoughts.
Good.
Should we amend the motion to clarify that, or?
Maybe that's my opinion. I mean,
That's just an opinion, yes. Let's vote on what we have instead of amending and re-amending.
Well, if there is a suggestion for an alternate motion,
I will amend what I said. I'll say, instead of approving, I'll say, I move to offer a 1-month extension, July 1st through 31st, at the same rate with first vehicle fleet management, while we consider the attorney's ideas on our language.
Is there support for extended, for the next motion?
That I could approve.
Yeah.
I'll
Yes,
second that,
support.
I'm gonna say she has
You
to
already got
support it
me.
first.
Yeah.
All right, roll call, please, Jamie.
Mr. Huck?
Yes.
Mrs. Myers?
yes.
Mr. Van Washington?
Yes.
Mrs. Vincent?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes, the motion passes. Superintendent comments. Superintendent Shaw.
So I will have a couple this time. So July 4th is coming up. MPS offices are closed on Thursday the 4th in observance of Independence Day. I also want to remind everyone, beginning last Friday, our district offices are closed on Fridays, and then we'll reopen that second week of August. The Spectacular Summer Semester is up and rolling. Session 2 will begin on July the 8th. Monroe-
What closes, wait a minute, what closes and doesn't open back up to August?
The 4th, so we take Fridays off. So last week was our first Friday.
Right.
And then that second week of August, we'll start back on.
Okay, I thought
Fridays.
you meant all the offices were closed till August. I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
And Monroe County Fair, since we're walking into July, here it comes. We are gearing up for the Monroe County Fair, which opens this year on the 28th of July for the big fair parade. It is a wonderful parade. And the Monroe Public Schools will have a booth inside the expo, and the students will have art displayed in the Little Red Schoolhouse. This year's theme is Adventure and More in 24. And so that concludes my comments for tonight.
Public commentary, any topic? Darla, do we have any?
Yes, we do. We have Dr. John Ray, or John, or D. Ray, or what other names do you have? Come on up, John.
Oh, geez. Just one last word. I just want to thank everybody for all the support over the years. And it's been good, and hopefully I'll still be around.
I hope you're still around,
My wife's got other ideas, I think.
as long as she doesn't snuff you out.
It's been a
John,
pleasure,
it's
John.
nice, having this time with you for the 20-some years. I think we've shared most of those
We have.
between us. So
Yeah.
I do appreciate everything you've done. So-
Thanks, Larry.
It was nice working with you, John.
And that's the difficult
Anyone
stuff,
else?
it really is. I mean, to actually please the parents, staff, coaches.
You should see Chad, he already looks a year older than he did.
But
All
that
right.
being said, from the time you got here, because I remember when you first got here, because my kids were in school, until now, like that position has done a lot of evolution.
Ooh, it has.
Yeah.
And
And-
John had a lot of hair when he first came over.
Larry, don't make me grow mine off and grow mine out and embarrass you. So.
All right, we're gonna take it to board member commentary. Are there any tonight?
Yes, just really quickly, a thank you to Ms. Shook for doing all of your presentations at our work session and then doing our separate public hearing for our budget, and then everything that you did during our board meeting tonight. And then just like a support for all of this. So MASB offers plenty of courses for school finance. So if you want to learn more about how school finance works, what a school budget should look like, they actually now are offering a school finance certification that we could get through MASB.
Anyone else? Can I get a motion for an adjournment?
I have one thing.
Oh, you gotta be quick.
I'm sorry. Did I meet it?
Now you met it. Go
Okay,
ahead.
thank you. I just want to bring up policy 2340. That is the field and other district-sponsored events. And I know there was a mention of that policy was not adhered to recently. And I would like to see if we could put something up as a work session item or whatnot to how to ensure that this policy in the future is followed, because policies are important to follow regardless of
Is
circumstances.
this where we did
No, this was the
for the
trip.
overnight trip?
Yes.
Yeah, that probably will never happen again.
Well, I think that we should address it, though. That would be my board member commentary for the night.
Anyone else? Hearing none, can we get a motion for adjournment? All right.
Support.
All right, that concludes our agenda for this evening. Our
Can we
next board.
vote?
Pardon?
Can we vote? Show
Oh,
of hands.
Yeah, go ahead, show your hands. I've never had that ever voted down before.